Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. The purchase and pricing email question line for purchasing this or any watch you see here on our channel or on our website. Reach out to me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Back in 2008, Audemars Piguet launched the most extreme offshore limited edition ever. Technically, a genetic derivative of the original Gerald-Genta Royal Oak. Perhaps no model offshore has ever strayed farther from the core DNA, and I have to say, this 1,000-piece titanium ceramic limited edition is the most fully realized, highly styled, and thematically consistent of the offshore limited editions since the Montoya. Now this thing has a lot to recommend it. Technically known as the Royal Oak Offshore Chronograph Survivor, Survivalist is more like it, as this almost feels made to order for Burt Gummer, the character played by Michael Gross from Tremors. You remember the guy, the gun-filled rec room shooting at the worm? That guy. This is his watch. Now 42 millimeters, technically this is one of the 42s in titanium with a ceramic bezel, but darned if it doesn't wear like a 50. Now it's not as thick as you might have suspected, as it measures 15.7 millimeters, which is almost reasonable, but then you measure it across the case, and from lug to lug it's 53.6 millimeters, but if you include these little rigid plots, the intermediate links, then it's a much broader 58.4 millimeters across the wrist. Take a look at the strap, because this is the only time I can remember an offshore featuring an entirely customized strap molding, designed to look like, I don't know, belted ammo? That's my guess. Now the thing is absolutely stark on the wrist, especially since I happen to be wearing a white shirt, but you can see it will fit underneath the jacket cuff, making it the kind of thing you would dare to wear with formal attire, if only for the raised eyebrows it would draw. I don't recommend it for a wrist smaller than 15 centimeters circumference, but in titanium and ceramic it is light to wear. Now you've got that wonderful diver style vulcanized rubber strap, and note the attention to detail as there's even a bevel along the side that matches the polished bevel of the case. The strap is fixed with screws and bars, and you can see the screws and bars, not the cheaper way to assemble a watch, but the safer way when you have a large and expensive sports watch to retain. You have a matching DLC blackened titanium pin buckle, and the DLC, the case has held up remarkably well. I've seen several of these over the years, and I've never seen one scratched bare. So not all deposited surfacings are created equal, and this is one of the better ones. You can see it's everything a Royal Oak is, including the hand finishing, the expanding bevel over the lug hoods, the satination on the top of the case, the perfect alignment of character lines through the bezel, the mid-case, and the caseback, and even elements like the manual finishing of the ceramic of the bezel to create that polished, rounded, glossy gleam. When you roll over to the crown side, however, you see things are very, very different. I don't know if these are trigger guards or if these are the pin guards on a grenade. I'm not sure if it's the guard for a detonator of some sort for plastic explosives, but hey, all interpretations are valid. What strikes me is that the assembly quality and the tolerances here, with the hex screws, the spring-loaded action, and the sheer solidity of the parts, they don't feel like the janky, spindly, tinsel-like accessories you might imagine if you've only seen this watch online. They actually feel as solid and redoubtable as something you'd encounter on a precision firearm, and Audemars Piguet takes that analogy much, much farther with the crown of the Survivor, which is a spit-and image of firearm muzzle brake for a fairly large caliber piece. And you can see on the flank you have tactical style grips. You could interpret them that way. They also look a little bit like heat sinks, or possibly the locking rails for accessory mounts in case you want to put a scope or a laser sight on some sort of a tactical rifle. You could make every single interpretation along those lines and all would be correct. Audemars Piguet was coy about what any individual design element meant. You can see there are drillings in the flank of the titanium case, again another firearms technique used for weight reduction, and then you get to the bezel itself, which features an uncommon relieved and open outer profile so that the oversized blackened bolts used for assembly actually show when viewed laterally. That is very different from a standard offshore. You have that vertical striation, which again I interpret as a heat sink, but if you've ever seen a rail mount on something like a Heckler & Koch machine gun or tactical rifle. You can see exactly where that grading style form comes from. And then there's the dial. The dial has another set of drilled out minimized hands, and those presumably are the same reference as the rest of the watch to tactical gear. You'll also note that the constant seconds up at 12 o'clock looks more like a bullseye inside a sight. Then you've got these instrument style white on black individual registers for chronograph minutes and chronograph hours, as well as a lovely set of polished applique indices. There is a Mega Tapisserie hobnail at center, but it's very subtle against this all-black aesthetic. Tachymeter outboard in case you want to gauge the speed of an object over a fixed course. And then on the back, you have a pattern molded in, seemingly to aggress against the wrist and hold this limited edition of 1,000 pieces fast. 1,000 pieces individually numbered. You can see that the Caseback uses the same type of bolt that's seen on the front, except to contrast, you have this polished metal aesthetic. You also have a muted media blasted black, so several different finishes, polished satin and media blasted. And then inside the case, Audemars Piguet manufactured caliber 3126, water resistant down to 100 meters. It is a screw-down crown. It is a 55 to 60 hour bidirectional automatic winder with a 21.6 beat rate, hacking seconds, quick set date, and very tough with a free-sprung balance and a full balance bridge. It drives a modular complication, which is made by Dubois de Praz. It is Audemars Piguet 3840, and it's a vertical clutch module. So when you actuate the chronograph mechanism, it doesn't jump or stagger as a lateral clutch can. And again, 100 meters water resistant on a rubber strap with a remarkably scratch resistant ceramic bezel. This is a rare black deposited metal watch that's designed to be worn every day. Now granted, you got to be able to pull off the watch, but then again, if you're Mr. and Mrs. Burt Gummer, you've already got the look and the lifestyle. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back with the Royal Oak Offshore Survivor. Quick, rewind and check out the plot intermediate links that join the strap. They have little drillings of their own. Details matter with this watch.